Character.
Oh, there's another. Getting a guide going up here for you guys so you can figure out what to do with your characters. Give me 1 second. I'm setting up stuff. So I'm going to be working on my characters. We're going to go left to right, just kind of go down and give you an idea on their break and everything, what's best for certain characters, what might not be best. I mean, to be honest, games and stuff are totally up to you how you do it. This is going to be a guide on what I personally have experienced with the game. It's not going to be a you, you, it's not going to be a I'm right, you're wrong type of deal. It's going to be, hey, this is my ideal on it, and if you like it, you like it. But we'll start with our favorite character, Cha Hae-In, because you know Cha is Cha. For her, I've been running the toughness set because basically with Cha, her main thing you're gonna want to focus on is getting more crit hit damage and making sure you're at 50% crit, and then attack afterwards. So for her artifacts, I personally run toughness because it gives me more percentage on the gives you the 32% crit, and the more crit you do, the better you do. Cha is one of the few DPSs that you can run the red-eyed necklace set on because a lot of the DPSs don't work very well with that, but because of her skill dancer, you get her dancing constantly, and she can do it. She can spam this ability the more you crit. So basically infinite amount of times where the effect is enhanced. So this waltz of the sword. So the more critical hit you have, the more she's gonna be able to do the waltz of the sword. But she's just gonna boom, keep tapping, keep tapping, keep tapping, keep tapping. So basically you want to keep your crit up as high as you can. That way you can do it. This set right here actually works with that because right here increases user attack 5 seconds when landing a critical hit. Cooldown 1 second. So if it's only a cooldown of 1 second, you can constantly keep resetting this whenever she's using her dancer ability. So she's going to be poking. So that's going to go off quite a bit. So you're going to get basically, you're going to get 5% extra damage each time. So you'll get it for 4 seconds, then you'll have a cooldown of 1. So then you'll get, basically every 5 seconds, it's going to be the extra damage and the cooldown, and then it'll just reset again, and you can keep doing that every time you land a critical hit. And with the more you have crit on Cha, the more you're going to crit. So if you want to work on getting more crit percent or crit hit damage, because you max out with crit hit rate at 50%. That's the highest you can go in the game currently, but you can keep getting your crit hit damage up with your artifacts and stuff by
I'll be your opponent.
see the crit hit rate. You can keep getting that up by having, your outfits have that crit hit damage. Yeah, so a lot
I'll
of
be your opponent.
yeah, so a lot of the artifacts you won't see, but you want to work on getting the crit hit damage. Trying to find artifacts with crit hit damage in them, because crit hit rate you want it at 50%. Then after that you want to focus on the crit hit damage on that.
I'll be your opponent.
From the most part, from what I've seen in artifacts, you'll get your crit hit rate on your armor, and you get your crit hit damage on your weapon. So you want to get your increase in crit hit damage. It's always going to be on this side right here, so just pay attention to that. I don't really think there's any other really good artifacts you can run with her, to be honest. She can run Viridescent with which gives more, but with how much you use her ability, you would probably run out of mana pretty quick. So that's up to you though, if you're finding that pretty good. But here, another one is Beast, is pretty good because it's based on when landing critical hit, the user has a 25% chance to increase attack by that, stacking up to 100 down. Cool. So this is another Beast, and Red Eye is another one, but from what I've been told by my friends, the Red Eye is a better one because I was running Beast at first and they said Red Eye is a better set with that. So next we'll move on to Choi Jong-In, is that how you say it? Yeah. So for him, this is a personal preference because how I usually run, if I'm doing a DPS, I will usually run Cha first, Ming second, and then Choi third. So the ideal is to get off a few abilities with her, then you go into Choi and you use his E
Who's my next opponent?
to increase crit and stuff, and then by the time you get to Choi, his ultimate will be up. So usually what I'll do is I'll use, this is his Q ability, this is his E ability, I'll use his alt, then I'll Q, and then I'll E, and then I'll switch back to Cha. So basically he's kind of a damage deal, like you're just getting a bunch of damage out of him and then you're switching, and also with his QTE, which is really nice, you get defense down for 15 seconds and burn on that. So it's like, it's one of those characters that he's good if you just sit there and spam his like basic attacks and stuff too, but for the most part, unless it's like weak to fire, I'm using him as a switch and a defense down burst damage, because basically you QTE and you do this, you do that, you do that, you do that, and you switch back out, and then you do the damage on another character, then you come back to him. So it's like trying to make the most out of the damage that you can. For me though, I personally do that. So this is just because it gives armor increase, because Choi can't crit at all. He has no crit besides like the critical hit damage, like the crit hit rate. He has none of that. So he's more of a attack and defense penetration type of character. And for a lot of people that don't understand what defense penetration is, it's a way to bypass defenses of bosses and stuff. So like say I'll try to do this in a mathematical sense. So say a boss has a value of 10,000 defense. Well, what this is doing is it's giving you a chance to take that 10,000 and bypass it so that your attack is doing more damage. And that's what defense penetration kind of does in a game. From what I've seen from previous games, I could be totally wrong and that's not it, but from what I understand of it, it's pretty decent. Yeah, because Choi's basic setup, if you want to look for what you want in equipment and stuff, usually for most characters you'll have the attack up here, the defense penetration, damage increase. So this is going to be your main stat that you want with him, this is going to be your secondary stat, and this is going to be your third. So if you can get all three of these in one item, that's a good item for him, and that's what you want in that item, which as you can see here, so you can't always get all three in one. I don't know if it's possible, but for the most part I'm getting like, a defense penetration and an additional attack. So but for the reason I run this set right here is this increasing your user attack by 15. A lot of people like this extra ignoring the target damage, but for me I'm using the one hit, so my ultimate skill gauge is up by 25%. So by the time I do their ability, do Ming's ability, and switch into him, I already have his ultimate up and ready to go. So that's one of the major perks of having that. For the Viridescent set, increases your damage increased by 18% and your cooldown of your basic skills to 18%. So it's basically reducing the time that it takes for these two abilities to go, so you can come back into rotation. Like some bosses take a lot longer to kill than just a single rotation, so by the time you come back in, you're gonna be back into this, boom, 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 and then go back into her or him. That's the basic idea behind this. And the nice thing about it with Choi is, even though it increases your mana outtake, for a lot of the times you're not using, like for me, like when I use him, I use the QT, this ability, this ability, this ability, this ability, this ability, and then switch back to Emma for the most part, or whoever else is in that setup. Um, and that's Choi in a nutshell for me, at least. That's how I use them. If you memorize the QE, Alt, QE, that's the basic DPS rotation for him, and that's what I use for the most part. I mean, there's a lot of other nice things about him, but for the most part, this is what I use him for, personally. And this is my guide about my personal experience with this, so enjoy it. Next, we're going to go on to Bake. Bake is actually, I would say, probably the best breaker in-game if you have him set up properly, like I do. Like, for most of the spider bosses that have an egress bosses that they do for limited time events, I can usually do a Q and an E ability, which is these two.
My name is Beak
And
Yoonho.
I can
I'm the guild
usually
master of the White Tiger
run
Guild.
right through his shield for the most part. But that's also because I'm A5 on him, so a lot of people don't understand a lot of that. But for the most part, what you're gonna get out of advancements is gonna increase. Where is that? There's a thing for this actually. Hold on, let me see. Does it show? Yeah, you can't show below, but like let's say right here when you're doing an advancement, usually for the most part you're gonna get, for usually 1, 3, and 5 are gonna be where the most increased damage. Like right here, you see how the second one's kind of okay, but it's just not thing. But usually right here, see, like on the third one, you're gonna get a nice increase of damage and stuff to that specific character. And then you see right here, 4 is kind of like okay, but it's not good. And then you get down to 5, increases damage, you know, quite a bit. So that's how most SSRs work. But with Bake, for the most part, I'm running Solid Analysis, which is a straight out break set. So attacking enemies that have element weakness to the break that you're using, so him being light will be increased by 30%. So that's the 4 set, but you'll still get the 15% increase in break even if you're not strong against that element. For me personally, I use Executioner, which is when your enemy drops below, with the 4 set, when they drop below 70%, you're gonna do 20% more damage, which, I mean, that's a lot of damage for a breaker, because especially like Bake, he's not like a huge damage dealer in the sense of the word, but if you add this to it, it's gonna increase his damage output by quite a bit. So when you're building Bake, you kind of gonna want to focus on your defense and also your crit, because you don't get too many, there's not going to be a lot of light stuff, but his defense and his crit is a major focus on him, because he does crit a lot. A lot of people probably don't realize, because they're like, oh, it's just Bake or break, but Bake does break, so he's really good. For Emma, she is one of the few characters where you can run pretty much every set imaginable with her, and it works really well. For me though, I run her as a break and a damage dealer. That way she can be here to, you know, get through shields if I need her to, but she can also do a lot of damage if I need her to with the concentration of firepower set. Emma, for her focus, the skill, this is her bread and butter skill right here. Like, if you need to drop everything into it, drop everything into it, because this is Emma is a hyper carry in the fact that this ability right here has such a low cooldown, and it does whatever her max HP is. So to be honest, if you want to with her, you can run the holy set, because you know it gives 8%, like a 2 set. You could run that and gives her HP, because Emma isn't affected by like attack at all. Like there's no, like, even though this has attack, she's not affected by the attack stat at all. She's one of the few characters that isn't. So the more crit she has, or the more HP she has, is basically the more damage she's gonna do. So you want to focus on her. She's one of those characters, like, if you're doing stuff, make sure it has HP in it. Make sure it has HP in it. Make sure HP's in it. If you're gonna level it up, you know, make sure it has HP in it.
Here I am.
This one doesn't. Yeah, just HP is her bread and butter to damage. Like, she's one of those few characters where everything is related on HP. So as long as you have HP in her items, whatever you run on her doesn't honestly really matter. But me personally, I like the break and the damage, extra damage, because usually when I'm running in, I'm gonna do, you know, her this ability for a break, and then go back to this for just. She's very good for clearing stuff. She cleanses a room of stuff. She also gives shields too. What is it? Is it this one right here? The heat absorption from, like, when she was doing a support skill. It gives you a very nice shield, and also gives you defense penetration too. So it's like it's really nice. And she also gives burn also. But yeah, she's one of the most, like, you learn how to use this. Like this right here, I can clear entire rooms with just her Q ability. Yeah, so it's a very nice thing to have. So let's see, let's turn the music down. I know it's very loud for that. So I mean, it's up to you though, what you guys want with that. If you think it's really good. Hey, what's up, Mel? Okay, for Bora, I built her pure crit. Like, she just, like, I can walk into a room, push a Q, and I can delete a lot of things with her. She's a very high damage dealing. Like, I secretly think that she's honestly third behind Emma and Choi. She might even higher up be better than Choi. I'm not honestly sure, but she's also going to be getting a buff soon with her minions.
Know the answer.
So her minions will do more damage, but this ability just straight out, like, it's next to Emma, I would say, is probably the best AoE ability in the game. Like, she just hits everything within a certain area, and it's really good. So using her is very good. I just run her straight crit, and this just increases her damage, and the executioner just increases her damage as soon as they're below 70 HP by 20%. So I just run that with her. More attack, more crit, you know. I don't even ever need to work on her crit hit, but that's how I run Bora. Bora is a very straightforward. You come in, you do her Q, you do her E, then even her autos are pretty good. Like, she can do quite a bit of damage, and then her tracking charm, if you can get that off on her core attack, she's a very good damage dealer for being an A rank hunter. That's okay. Now for everyone's favorite character, CO, the best water damage dealer in game, because we don't currently have a water damage dealer. A lot of people run break sets on her. A lot of people run whatever they feel like. But my personal opinion,
no mistakes. Check.
is this Palace Guardian set. Because when a team member, including the user, activates a shield, increases their individual damage dealt by 10%. So that means if anyone in the team activates a shield. Emma activates her shield. CO activates her shield. Increases their personal damage by 10%, which is nice.
Find control. Stay
Because
calm and focus.
whenever you're using her basic skill, boom, applies shield. Her QTE, boom, gives a shield for the whole team. So that increases. Wait.
Okay, no mistakes. Check.
Oops.
Check.
Wrong one. Her support skill. Sorry, I said the wrong thing. Not her support. Her support skill when you're using her with Sun Jinwoo gives the entire team a shield, 10% of their HP. So their whole team gets a 10% damage increase for that 10 seconds, which is a huge boost for a support, you know, because like it or not, she can break and stuff, but I would highly suggest, because with the Cerberus, I can get him before I even break him down to 50% HP before I even start using Cha or any of the other characters to do damage, and it's actually pretty insane. With her, I like to run this set because when HP runs below 70, sometimes if he hits you, he does a lot of damage, and usually it's around 70%. It increases the damage to 30%. So she's going to do more. The more her HP is down, the more damage she's going to do. So it's one of those, you can kind of focus on the HP, but you don't always have to, because the lesser HP, if she drops below 70, she's going to do a lot of damage. So it's a win-win with her. But that's my personal opinion on her setup. If you want to focus skills, I would
control. Stay calm
focus
and
these
focused.
two and
Okay, no mistakes. Check. Check.
the support skill, because that's where a lot of her shield comes in. And her shields can do a lot. Like, I've seen my HP bar be like it'd be 1/8 of my HP bar, and it's like a huge shield. So that's pretty good too for her. A lot of people are probably wondering. For weapons, I focused on Chas mainly. I got Choi's in the event. I made Bakes. I made Emma's. I made Bora's. I made hers, and I haven't made any of these guys yet. I did get this guy's, but I use it on him because he's more damage than him, in my opinion, because he's A1 and he's not. I also don't really know how to use Bake very well, so. But in my opinion, if you're gonna work on your weapons at all, also get them A1 at least. So if you're gonna work on your Bake weapon, make this one, then make the second one to A1, because what happens is when you get A1 is you get an extra 2,000 precision, which is an insane increase in damage, because you want that extra precision, because it's going to make your characters hit a lot more. So that's why I suggest A1, because otherwise you're just sitting here with total power and HP, which isn't bad. I'm not saying, but the precision is a huge increase for a weapon. So if you're going to focus stuff, focus on at least A1. Moving on to Ming. Ming this is his set. I don't care what anyone else says. They can say whatever they want. Ming is a support character. He's not there to beat up the boss and bash the boss's head in. He's here to provide boosts to other characters. If someone else wants to argue that, they can have fun arguing with. This is my opinion. This is my video. This is what I suggest on him. With Ming, I run Destroyer. When a battle starts, charges the user's power gauge by 50%. Also increases the user and their team's power gauge acquisition rate by additional 20%. So that means your power gauge, which is your ult, is gonna go up a lot faster. So Ming being a pure support character, I always run this no matter what, because it's giving more power gauge. So his ult
Who's my next opponent?
is always up. When I start with him. Like if he's in my second slot, I do this character, then I do this. With this set, he's always at 100% by the time I switch to him, and I can use his ult or anything else. For me personally, I use this, and that's it. Like literally. Increases the damage taken by 5%. It also increases crit for Cha. I'm trying to remember. I think it said, yeah, but yeah, but it increases damage taken by 5% for 20 seconds. That is a huge increase to Cha's, dancer. She's gonna sit there and poke.
Who's my next opponent?
For the most part, this is the other ability you level up because it's his healing. So if you're running into issues, his heal is next level. QTE, let's see. Yeah, when deals recovers. So yeah, this is another one that's pretty decent because you recover 5% of your power gauge, so it's increasing your ult. His support skill is really good, increases your damage by 15%. So this is actually probably might even be better than his thing when you're using him as a support character. His ult's pretty good. Heavenly Blessing. Oh yeah, right here. This is the major thing. Increases the crit hit duration by 12 seconds. So this is the major one right here, Heavenly Blessing, because
Who's my next
usually
opponent?
this increases damage and this crit increases your crit. So usually when I'm doing Ming, I'll do a few abilities on, like say I have a breaker that I'm using, like Bake. If I'm using Bake, I'll break the person, switch in, then I'll switch Ming, I'll push this, then QT into Cha and use her dancer, use this, and then use her ult to do a massive amount of damage. So, Ming, for the most part,
Who's my next opponent?
with the outstanding connection, this thing is like the best support thing in game. Like there's no secondary. Increases attack effect to 28% and duration 15%. So when he's tagging out, so basically when he switches to Cha, he's giving increased attack by 28% and it lasts for 15 seconds. So this set is like a support's bread and butter. You want the outstanding connection because it's gonna make Cha hit more and she's just gonna keep hitting more and more. So my opinion, best two sets. Increases ult gauge for your team. Usually Cha is fairly close to her ultimate by the time I switch to her. I think I have to poke at least 3 times with her dancer, and by that time she's ready to use her ult. So you can get in there and do some quick burst damage and then get in there, flip her ult off, and sometimes you can kill, like the spider I did in 30 seconds yesterday, because you just get Cha so buffed up with, like, Cha can hit really good solo, but if you use Ming to boost her before you get in and hit the spider, she's gonna hit a lot more. I'm gonna move on to Lee because I have absolutely no idea how to use this character. I've never used him before. From guides I've watched, they use this because I'm assuming it's just you're wanting to get his ultimate off. Because let's see, damage. Yeah, I know for the most part, these are the 2 reasons people use him. Because he removes shields. I think it's the urge to kill.
I'm itching to do something.
Yeah, this urge to kill. If the skill hits, it removes the target shield. So I remember this was the major reason people use him. So this is damage increase, and this is getting your ultimate up. So that's all I'm gonna say about this because I have no idea. For Lim Tae-Gyu, he's a really nice character. A lot of people underplay him, but I will tell you why I run solid foundation on him. because his abilities suck up so much goddamn mana. Even with this, like on top of using this with it, it just increases the mana intake. But so what the idea behind this set for me personally is I'm using basic attacks constantly. And this and his core attack is what you want. So what you're wanting with him is you're wanting your core attack damage by 18% and it increases the gauge. So you're wanting this ability right here to go off constantly because it's, look at the you got your basics which go up to 200%. This is a 500% damage when it goes off, and it's a break. He's kind of a breaker, but he's a breaker DPS. That's what I consider him. He's kind of like Emma in that sense, where he breaks, but he also DPSs very good if you use him properly. Because this one's a break, but this one's his heavy break, which takes time to charge. So the basic ideal is to save this up, maneuver away from the boss, and then get enough spot to just pop this one off and does a lot of damage. His QT's a break. Increases core damage. But this one, this one's really fun to use. His ultimate. He's just sitting there going. He's like a machine gun. But the basic idea behind this artifact for him, the solid foundation, is to get these two off because you don't. He's one of those you want to kind of sit still and keep rapid firing with his basic attacks. And use these because this one's more to get out of the way. Like you have your dodge, but this is a dodge inside of a dodge because if you push Q and you push your D button at the same time, you're gonna Q and you're gonna move towards that way. So it's like a dodge that you control, it's the same thing as it's basically pushing shift and dodging that direction, but you just push Q and it's also a dodge. So having that is nice, and also the break while you're dodging. So, but for the most part, we're gonna use him for breaks. He's really good because this is a heavy break. There's not too many characters that have a heavy break like he does. This is his heavy break. Emma, I don't. Yeah, this is. Oh wait. Oh. I think all of their E's are actually heavy breaks for.
Find control.
Except her, she doesn't.
Calm and focus.
She's a breaker, but she doesn't have a heavy break. Does he have a break? I don't think. No, his just removes his shield. But yeah, he's really good for breaking. He's just. If you need a breaker, a lot of people don't realize that he's kind of comparable to what Emma does. She's a breaker, but she's also a damage dealer. He's not very. But he's not AoE like Emma. And this is just increasing damage. So that's what I use that for. We got Bake. I honestly don't know how to use them. I know for the most part you're trying to
destroy you all.
You're trying to use his core attacks. You want to use his basics into his core damage, which is why a lot of people use this set, and he is super squishy. Like, he's the most squishy unit in game, so using this set is probably the best because, you know, less HP. And for this character, let's not joke, he's not a character. He's just here. He exists. Unless they buff this guy, I honestly have no idea. Like,
one simply can't abandon.
I mean, he's got a medium break and a weak break, and he has that.
One simply can't abandon their duties.
I guess if you need a windbreaker, that's about it. But that's it for the SSRs. I will do some SRs here that I suggest. If you want SRs that are good and you're struggling and don't have SSRs, Nam is by far the best breaker that exists. Like, at least for water. Like, it's a very, between these two, it is a very close game. Very. Like, cause this is a heavy break and that's a medium break, but it also freezes whatever you throw at it. So it's the same with her ultimate, does a 3, and her support,
I want to hunt.
Her QTE freezes them too. So it's like they have a lot. She's one of the best in game. I use a break set and a switch because for the most part you're just trying to use like with Severus, I was using it early on and I was just using these two abilities until I broke them, and then I would switch out and do the damage deal. She has absolutely no damage though. Like she like zero. Like I think I had Cerberus at maybe 90 to 95% HP before when I switched out to her. But I had people like Seo who can do almost half of the bar before breaking, even though she's doing less break damage, but she's doing actual damage through. So, I mean, it's up to you. Me personally, I've had good. I use him because of his break abilities, because it's heavy.
Want something done right.
His this one is really good because it stuns, and then it enhances. Yeah, so the stun is really good, and it's a break. I mean, he's really good against Egress when you're doing like working towards your tier 10. If you first start off and you don't have SR characters, he's another good break character. I haven't used him, but I hear he has good things because
I look cool, right?
because he looks cool, and he can like recover HP and stuff. Like I don't really know. Kang I hear is decent because he has the it's the bleed. I think it's
Any objections?
he has a bleed which works really well on bosses, but Park is actually decent because her abilities increase
definitely going to meet me.
your ultimate gauge, so she's pretty decent. Other than that, that's pretty much all I have to say about SRs. Thank you for watching.